And welcome to Crochet Hooks. Please enjoy our free tutorials with just one of a 24-part series on teaching you how to crochet. Subscribe to start receiving our 24 courses that are delivered to your email inbox every few days. By the time you're done, you'll know the ins and outs of crochet. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So now let's get crocheting with Curtsy. And welcome back to the Curtsy Crochet Hook program. This is lesson number 11 and I'm going to show you how to crisscross crochet. So now I'm going to start getting you to do overlapping of your stitches, which creates the crisscross. And in this pattern here, this is my purse, is that I've done some crisscrossing and you can see how it completely changes the look by just starting to get layering effects. True story, I had made a belt using crisscross crochet with darngoodyarn.com. It was resolution yarn. We took it to a major show and Daniel actually converted it into a tie, a necktie. So we didn't do anything to it, he just tied it around like a necktie, and the women were just pawning all over it and they thought it was really quite amazing. But in actual fact they thought it was so complicated, but in actual fact it's actually very simple. So let's teach you how to crisscross crochet. In today's tutorial with the crisscross crochet, we're going to be working with the Bernat Mosaic, and this color coordination right here is called Optimistic, and so it changes color really slowly, and it's asking for a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. So let's get started. We're going to do a slip knot and I'm going to explain a few things. So do your slip knot as you normally would. Now this crisscross pattern is in sets of 2, and what do I mean by sets of 2? What I'm saying to you is that the pattern will repeat every second stitch. Okay, so if the pattern says it's in sets of 8, that means that there's 8 stitches before the pattern will repeat. This one is number 2. So let's begin. This does never count as 1, as we know, and we're just going to go 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. And the reason why I'm going 1 2 1 2 is that I don't want to count to 100. So if I know that I go 1 2 1 2 1 2, the pattern will always be the same, and I don't have to worry about slipping up on my numbers as I'm counting over. You know, you run out of fingers eventually, and sometimes you miscount. So 1 and 2. So with an Afghan or a table runner, a scarf, just keep it in sets of 1 and 2, and you should be good, and your pattern should work out. So let's move on to your next level as we work our way up. So just go as long as you want to go. So let's begin to work on the next line. We're going to now chain 1, and we're going to go from second from the hook. So this is 1, 2. See this orange spot on there? That's number 2. So we're just going to slip in our hook and we're going to single crochet. Okay, so we're just going to grab the material, pull it through, and then pull through 2. Let's go to the next one on the chain. So we've done this kind of step before. We actually taught you how to single crochet based on the chain as well, way back in lesson, I think, number 3. So let's begin, and we're just going to single crochet ourselves all the way back, and let's meet back up at the end of the line. So if you've done an Afghan or a table runner with this particular tutorial, we'll just meet up at the end and we'll go from there. We are now approaching the end, and make sure you don't add any extra stitches. You actually only have 1 stitch left to go, and we just go in just like that. Okay. So that is your final. So you can see that. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to begin to do our crisscross. So here we go. We turned our material and we're going to chain up 3. The reason why is that we're going to be doing double crochet. So let's chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And now let's look at the stitches here. Now with double crochet we normally go into the very next one, which is right here. But with the crisscross, we're actually going to skip that one and go into the very next one. Okay, so let's do that. And we're going to double crochet as normal. Okay, so you can see that now that there's a gap. So now the next stitch is actually behind it. So we've gone here, so the next one is in behind. So what I want you to do is I want you to grab your material, I want you to twist it towards you. Okay, and twist it towards you so that the stitch in behind is exposed. Okay, so the stitch is in, so we just want to double crochet ourselves as normal once we get to that point. So you can now see that you have 1 stitch, the first one is actually over, and the second stitch is actually under but in behind. So let's begin the next one. So normally we would go to the next stitch available on the crochet line on the stitches, but we want to go to the second one over, because what we're doing is we're crisscrossing all the way across. So we're going to double crochet. So just like we already did on the last one, here's the gap right there. So we just wrap our material, bend it towards you, get the stitch in from in behind, and double crochet as normal. Does this look convenient? It's really not. Once you get yourself into a rhythm, and once you get the pattern to be a little bit bigger too, the yarn starts working in your favor a lot more. So we've just done the crisscross, so now we normally would go into the next one, but we're going to skip one. So this is causing this stitch here to be pulled on a diagonal. You can see that there. And so then we've already skipped one, so we're just going to go bend it towards you and get the one in behind. Okay, so let's do the next one. So we're just going to skip the next one. So do you see the pattern here? That's all it is. So what I want you to do is I want you to go all the way across doing the same thing. Okay, and really you can start seeing that the stitches are now becoming three-dimensional. So let's meet back at the end of the line in just a couple seconds. For me, if you've done a whole afghan or table runner or scarf, you may have a little bit longer to go. Either way, let's meet back up and we'll move up to the next level. We're now at the back end of our project, okay, so that we actually only have one stitch left, and it's right here. So if you've counted right, you should only have one left. We are just going to double crochet as normal into that spot. And this stitch actually will appear to be completely vertical properly. And the reason for it is that because you're not skipping a stitch like you have been all along, is that it will appear straight up. Is that cool? So let's begin then. We're going to turn it in our hand and begin the next level. So in order to get the crisscross to really point out sharp, the next layer should be just very simple. So let's chain one. And with chaining one, we're going to single crochet ourselves all the way back across. And remember, with single crochet, we come back into the very same stitch. Using a double crochet, we would have jumped. So we're just going to go into that same one and single crochet, and we just want to come back across our complete line single crocheting. So in actual one aspect, you have the crisscross, which is a little bit labor intensive, but the looks are surely worth it. And then in the next line we're just going to single crochet, which is kind of your break on working your way across. But you need it in there in order for the crisscross to be more effective. If you're also wanting, you could have also done a half double crochet or a double crochet in this particular line as well. As long as you're consistent, it will not matter, but it will change the way that your project looks, and that's up to your creativity on how far you want to push the edge and being able to go across. So we're now all the way across again, just like so. So you really can start seeing that the crisscross is really quite effective in that. And so let's move up to your next level. Okay, so let's chain up. Remember, we're going to double crochet, so we're going to chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And we're just going to start immediately into the crisscross. So normally we would go into this stitch here, but we're not. We're going to skip over one because we are doing the crisscross. And just like I told you before, the next one is now in behind. Okay, so it's actually backward and in behind, so we just want to fold it in front there. So fold it down. And now we're done that crisscross, so we're now going to jump. So this would be normally the next one. We're going to jump to the second. And we're double crocheting. And the next one, we've got to go backward one. Okay, so the crisscross is done, so immediately we jump one. And then we come back one. So maybe that's the memory hook for this particular pattern. So the next one we jump one, and then we come back one. So we jump one. And what you will find, because this is in sets of 2, the crisscrosses will line up exactly with each other as you're working your way up. And let's meet at the end of the line and we'll get just the finalizing of this particular tutorial done. So we're now at the end of the line and we're going to turn our material, and again this part of the process is up to you. So you can either single crochet, half double, triple crochet, double crochet, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to single, we're going to chain one, and when you single you have to go into the same one right there and then work our way back across. So this is a really effective idea. It actually thickens up your material. It creates a little bit of a layering effect. It gives your crochet, you know, the crochet kind of looks like train tracks most of the time, and you really can tell when something is crocheted. And this kind of patterning will break you free from having crochet that always looks the same. And you don't have to do this every time too. If you wanted to double crochet several lines and then put this as one line and double crochet several more, it just really breaks up your patterns really nicely. And that's it for today's tutorial on crisscross crochet. And look at that, I tried to double crochet right in the end as I screw up a tutorial. So that's all you have to do for crisscross crochet. So that was crisscross crochet, and you can see that it's actually very simple when you go crisscrossing over top of each other. You can actually start seeing that when you work with it, you can actually get really beautiful layers when it comes to your work. So depending on the materials and the colors you chose, it could actually be really smart. So now I'm going to schedule you for lesson number 12, and we're going to work on the back and the front posts. What are the back and the front posts? Let me show you, and let me show you what you can do with them in order to create more of a layering effect with crochet. So let me schedule you for lesson number 12 in the Curtsy Crochet Hook program right now. I'm your host Mikey on behalf of Curtsy Crochet.